Thank you, Gregor. Hey, Andrew. Just wondering how getting to this point compares to the last time you guys did it 3 years ago. Feeling.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think this time, I think we were, I guess, doubted a little bit more along the way. I think 3 years ago we were kind of, I mean, you looked at the makeup of our team, and I think across the league there was a lot of belief that we were going to make a big run. I mean, we finished second in the league in points that year, so that was, we were kind of expected to move on. This time, I think there was a little bit less of that from the outside, but I still think our belief in the room was still, very high. A lot of belief in each other, and to the type of game that we could play and get to. So. I don't know if there's much of a difference in terms of the feeling inside the room, because we believed in ourselves, and I think we thought we could definitely make a run at this thing. So I don't know if it's any different inside the room, but I'm sure outside the room perspective is a little different.
We'll go next to Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Sean.
Andrew, it struck me that all the things that Paul Morrissey had said going into the series, the way the game would look, the off the rush chances disappearing, the way that you guys were going to be able to play, that very much seemed exactly like what that series turned out to be. And I think Blake said something about it. Some of the other players talked about, the game plan that your coaches built for that series was a really good one that you had a lot of belief in. Kind of a two-pronged question. How much different or how much tweaking was done for the game plan versus what you guys did against the Oilers? And then how much confidence does that give you guys as a group and your coaching staff to find a way to pick apart your next round opponent?
How much different? I think there were little tweaks here and there. I think it was more of a mentality more than actual systematic tweaks. I think that, and we were probably, in the playoffs, the standard goes up. I think the attention to detail becomes just so important over the course of a 7-game series that I think that we really bought into that sort of mentality and bought into kind of doing that for each other. So I think that, I don't know how much different our systems or anything like that was. There were definitely tweaks made and things that we talked about for sure. But I think it was just more of, our team's mentality of attention to detail and maybe holding each other, the coaches holding us just a little bit more accountable. So there wasn't any stray from a regular season type game plan versus a playoff type game plan. And then I think confidence, I think that's huge. I think, whoever we're going to see next, I think we're probably going to go along somewhat of a similar type of game plan where, that attention to detail is so important. Like I said, in the playoffs, no matter who you're playing against. So we're looking forward to getting back out there and kind of proving that this is the right way to play at all times. And, hopefully we can, follow the plan that we just executed and kind of move on.
We'll go next to Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weaver.
Thanks, Gregor. Morning, Andrew. How would you describe Josh Morrissey's play in that first round?
Yeah, great. It's a lot of times where you see 29 and 97 coming at you. That's, those are two of the best players in the game. So did a great job against them 5-on-5. And then for him to chip in offensively the way he did, created, 3 big goals in the last 2 games specifically that I can think of off the top of my head. So fantastic series for him. I'm sure he's got a lot of confidence right now, as he should.
We'll go next to Murat Atesh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Murat.
Good morning, Andrew. My question is about sleep science or sleep strategy, and what it is that you aim to do when you get home at 2:30 or 3 or whenever that game ended for you the other night.
Well, I think the other night, we weren't playing for another 5 or 6 days, so I think you could kind of enjoy it a little bit more than, if we were playing the next night, it would have been get out of the rink as quickly as you could and go to bed or whatnot. So I think everyone's thankful that we're not in Edmonton right now doing a pregame skate. I think everyone's still a little bit tired from the game the other night, but I think you might have taken a little bit of a liberty the other night, just in terms of, not rushing out of the rink, not rushing to bed. But now it's kind of catching up on sleep the last today and tomorrow, and then just kind of getting into your normal routine for the next, however many days until we play.
We'll go next to Kelly Moore from 680 CGOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Hey, congratulations on the win, Andrew. I know you had that double overtime game against Nashville in game 2 in that series a few years ago. But when you've gone through marathons like you went through the other night, what kind of lessons do those teach you that you can utilize when those situations are kind of unfolding later on in the playoffs this year or in your career?
I think it's just more of a belief that, we feel like we can, win those types of games. 3 overtime games in a row is a little bit crazy, but for us to win each one of them, I think it just kind of gives us a lot of confidence, not only in overtime games, but, when it's tied with less than 10 minutes to go, where it kind of seems like it's overtime. I think they just have a lot of confidence in sticking to our game plan and not having to stray and stretch or open the game up when we know that, we have the level of scores that we have in the room, that it can come at any point. It's doesn't need to be forced. So I think hopefully it's just a belief and confidence in our game, and not having to stray from that to try and to break one open in overtime or anything like that.
Go back to Kelly Moore for a follow-up. Go ahead, Kelly.
And Andrew, just on that vein, also, having the chance to understand, to try to avoid mental and physical fatigue rather, when you've been through that a couple of times, I would assume that's a pretty important asset to have in your kit bag for future circumstances like that as well.
Yeah, I think on a back-to-back night, you probably feel it more than you would without that. I think everyone's kind of in the same boat with that aspect. I think, we believe that, we're well conditioned, we're in shape, we have mental toughness, all that stuff. And I'm sure the other team in that circumstance believes that too. So that's why I think you can believe it, but it's another one to go through it and win in it. So I think just that confidence that comes from that, and the belief that comes from that, gives us maybe just add a bit of conviction.
We'll go next to Scott Billick from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Scott.
Thanks, Gregor, and hey, Andrew. Prior to the series, you talked about it being, essentially. Well, I believe the quote was disrespectful to kind of count you guys out of the series, and a lot of people did, kind of heading into it. Dylan DeMello just said, you guys kind of felt that you could ruin some people's playoff pools, and when sort of asked the same thing. Do you feel a little vindicated, or? How do you use that sort of thing, that outside noise? Because it's obviously, it does get into the room. So how do you kind of use that to your benefit, I suppose?
I don't know if it's anything you use. I don't know if it's a talking point too much in the room. I think it's just kind of goes without saying. I think, everyone obviously pays attention to, what's going on, whether watching other games or whatever. You see picks that are made kind of going into a series, and obviously saw the Oilers logo a lot more than you saw the Jets logo. So I think that was just kind of something that was just understood from everyone. I don't even know if it was mentioned once. But I think it's just, it gives you a little added, I don't know about incentive, but maybe chip on the shoulder. So I don't think that leads to us wanting to win more than them or anything like that. I think it's kind of went without saying, and kind of maybe gave us a little chip on the shoulder, but I don't know if that was, the end, that was the difference in the series or anything like that.
We'll go next to Sarah Orlesky from TSN. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hey, Andrew, how closely are you watching the Toronto-Montreal series, and do you watch it any differently knowing that the winner of that series will be your next opponent?
Yeah, I've been watching pretty close, I'd say. And yeah, I think, maybe last night I watched differently than I did maybe game 1 or game 2, just based on, that you're playing the winner, and maybe there's some things that you're concentrating on, or just, it's not like I'm watching, detail and writing notes down. I think it's just kind of general things that they do, or, maybe little habits that each player has, or, whether it's their line combinations without Tavares, or what kind of match, whichever one was run out. I don't know. I was just kind of, your mind kind of jumps around from topic to topic when you're watching the game, but I think there's definitely a little bit more of an eye on it now that we know we're playing the winner of it.
We'll go next to Stephen Wino from the Associated Press. Go ahead, Stephen.
Hey, Andrew. Trevor Lewis said before the series, kind of compared you guys to no one gave the 2012 LA Kings a whole lot of credit and chance. They swept the Vancouver Canucks. I'm wondering if you see any similarities at all between you guys and that team. I mean, a stud defenseman in Josh, a goalie in Connor Hellebuck, who's a lot like Jonathan Quick. Do you see any kind of parallels between you guys and that team?
I mean, maybe a little bit. I don't know. I think that's kind of tough for me to say because that was 9 years ago and I was in high school or college. So I couldn't tell you the exact makeup of the team, but I think anytime when a team is, discounted or, maybe an underdog in the first round and kind of gets out against, a team that was kind of expected to move on, I think, you start drawing parallels to them or Nashville when they went to the Cup a few years ago against Pittsburgh when they beat Chicago in the first round. There's always similarities to that. So I think we would have a better gauge on how similar our teams are, but I don't know. I think we're not really concentrated on drawing parallels to Stanley Cup winners just yet. I think we're just kind of worried about the game one of the next series.
Just a few more for Andrew. We'll go next to Paul Stravevsky from NHL.com. Go ahead, Paul.
Hi, Andrew. Looking around the league in this first round, we've seen captains do some spectacular things, from Mark Stone to Jordan Stahl to Patrice Bergeron, and I think Wheeler is no different. He had a pretty awesome series against the Oilers. Talking specifically about the playoffs, what do you hope to see out of the captain? In what ways do you think he should elevate either his game or his persona or both?
I don't know if there's anything I hope to see. I mean, obviously he's our captain and he's led by example ever since, I've gotten here, but at the same time, he's also just one of the boys that's just trying to, play their best at the right time of year. So obviously his game elevated and he did a great job, leading us throughout the series. I don't know if there's anything I look for out of him though, more so than he gives on a day-to-day basis during the season. So obviously he's a, huge part of our team, leads our team, all those things that he's done day in and day out. I don't know if there's anything he needs to add at this point, because he's kind of done it all since I've been here. So obviously when adversity hits, he's, one that always steps up and makes the play or scores the big goal like he did the other night in game 3. But he's always done that. So I don't know if I'm looking for anything more out of him.
We'll go next to Paul Friesen from the Sun. Go ahead, Paul.
Given the way the pandemic's kind of pounding Manitoba here right now, Andrew, how concerned are you? You might not have any fans for round 2 either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll have fans at all. I mean, it's it's unfortunate. Obviously, Manitoba's getting hit hard right now from what you guys are saying. I guess I don't really look too specifically at any of that stuff in particular. I just, I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you that fans are going to be in or out or whatnot, but I do feel bad that, fans weren't able to be a part of the last 2 games as they normally would have. I think it would have been 2 of the best nights of people's lives in this city. So that's something that's tough to swallow, but we definitely feel all the fan support for sure. And, I hope that they feel that, we're supporting them as much as we can too.
And final question to Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Sean.
Thanks, Gregor. Hey, Andrew, you were talking about watching the Leafs and Canadians play. Based on the way they're playing in the playoffs, is there anything to you that looks different about those teams?
No, not really. I think it's more just we've seen them so many times throughout the year that you kind of understand how they play and the tendencies and whatnot. I think more just for me, I'm kind of looking at, where guys are fitting in with, for Toronto with Tavares out for now, how, their other lines are kind of being constructed and all that kind of thing. And then with Caulfield going in for Montreal, how that's kind of changed their lineup a little bit. So I don't know how much of their game has changed. I think playoffs always change the game a little bit, just like you saw with us in Edmonton. I think you saw less off the rush than you would would see in a normal regular season game, and it's a little bit tighter checking, more attention to detail, like I said. But I think you kind of expect that. So, you're just kind of bouncing around different things, and, been looking at like Toronto's power play kind of changes game to game a little bit, especially when Sandin was out last night. So just little things like that. I think you're just kind of looking to see what adjustments they've made, and it's not going to learn anything that's going to break open the series, but you're just kind of paying attention to what kind of tendencies they got going and how that'll affect us.